How's it going, buddy? I'm Zach Taylor back with another video. In today's video, I'm just going to be talking about kind of understanding other people's point of views from stuff. I understand different people's opinions and just kind of how to get along and uh, just get along and be tolerant of other people's opinions, views, and stuff. Because I know in today's world, especially, it can be very hard for people to kind of accept other people's views, whether it's about politics, social stuff, family stuff, business, the ways things should be run, this and that, uh, and kind of be talking about the tension that's been going on in the world, not even about necessarily a specific thing, just from what I've seen. And I don't know if I've met a couple of these things. I don't know if I've mentioned in any of my videos. Yeah, I know I mentioned them to some of my friends. But yeah, that's just what I'm going to be doing in this video. So first off, I'm just going to kind of get into it. There is a lot. I have a good sized group of friends. I'm not saying this to brag in any sort of way whatsoever, but I have a good amount of friends that come from all different backgrounds. Most of them, yes, are from Michigan because that is where I am from. I'm guessing 95% of you know that, if not more. I have been raised here in Grand Rapids, Michigan my whole life. Most of my friends are from Michigan, somewhere around, say most of them on the west side of the state around here from Grand Rapids. And as many of you know, United States is a very, very big country. And depending on where you are in the country especially, it can be like you're almost in a whole different country just because we're so big and diverse. There is rural places, there's urban, there's suburban, there's like the really middle of nowhere places, and there's like the downtown. I mean, there's just so many different kind of neighborhood styles and lifestyles. We just have so many different races and cultures here. The United States is just a big melting pot. So there's going to be a lot of different cultures. I mean, we have people from every single country on Earth. And just, I mean, in lots of them. I mean, 19% of our population is foreign born. So that's about every I think it was 19%. It's like every 1 in 5 American was born in another country. So we are a very diverse place. But where diversity can be a good thing, but can also create conflict. And it can also create conflict because people have different ways of doing stuff. They come from different backgrounds, different countries, a lot of cultural stuff. That's why you see a lot of time in the United States, there has been culture battles. And you'll see this here in the U.S. more than any other country in the world because there is no other country that has near the amount of cultures and different races as we do. We are an extremely diverse place, and how that has been very beneficial for the most part has caused some quite a few conflicts over the years and stuff. But overall, it's good. I think when it comes to just everything in life, you got to try and understand where someone comes from, and they might have an opinion politically, socially, or just about lots of stuff depending on what their background, what their family life is like. I've had some friends that have questioned the way certain family doing something. They're not just doing it to be rude, it's just because they've only known and been sheltered to like their way of life for so long, and they just never really think about what someone else might be living like. And it's not necessarily they're inconsiderate or bad people, it's just that's all they've really known. I haven't grown up in some super diverse place, but I grew up for the first 16 years of my life in a pretty, not downtown, but it was like an urban area. It wasn't like the hood, but it definitely had some it was definitely more diverse than where I live now. I live in a bit more rural area now, but not like the middle of nowhere. And went to schools that were more diverse people from all different backgrounds. So I've kind of have seen and known a bit different personal experiences. I haven't lived somewhere that's like extremely, extremely diverse, but uh, it's I went to school before that had a lot of really underprivileged inner city kids, and many of them did not have uh the greatest home lives. Many of them did not have a lot of money for food, so they relied off the school breakfasts and lunches. Uh, and I don't think a lot of people realize that we have a lot of those struggles here in the United States. As for advanced as a country we are, there still is quite a bit of people struggling for food here, and still a lot of poverty here, and we still got a lot of work to do here at home. And it's a very hard battle, that is definitely for sure. But it kind of gives you a look into other people's lives while I was around that, and there there just was a lot of different backgrounds there, and different people came from there, and there were kids that came from really good households and had both parents active in the household still together, and there were a lot of kids that only had one parent in the household or came from a really rough area and struggled with food. I mean, it was you could definitely tell with certain kids just by their attitude and mentality too, kind of towards things. And that's still kind of that's the same, not just that school, but in many places. With my friends, I'm not gonna give like super personal stuff away because my friends, but I mean, for a lot of my friends, I say probably about half of them come from divorced parents, half of them come still parents together, and I there's been stuff I've noticed over. I don't really know how to explain it, but there's just something different about the kids that have come from divorced families and that have come from still together. It's not necessarily a bad or good thing. It's almost kind of hard to explain, but it's just a different vibe in the way their mentality is just different than the way, because I mean they go from when you're raised from going back and forth to parents' places versus just living in your home with both your parents, you're definitely going to be different than each other, because that is a very completely different way of being raised. The way I'm filming a video. What do you need? I will soon. So that's kind of the way. Sorry about that. My dad came in here. So it's kind of the uh, depending on the way you're raised. But there's always been something I haven't ever been able to necessarily pick up what it is, but there's definitely a difference. I mean, I definitely noticed too. I've heard some of my friends talk when there's been the occasional conversation of marriage, not like serious. It's just kind of like discussing it. And I had some friends of mine that, and they were all divorced, coming from divorced parents. And you want to know what they all said? They all were like, we don't really have interest in getting marriage, or they thought it was an outdated concept. And you can probably see why they might say that. And some of my friends that were coming from parents still together, they're like, oh, we think marriage is a good thing, and I definitely want to get married. So you can definitely see it when it comes in that sense, because one side could definitely be more scared because of what they've seen with their parents. Another, it's just normal and they've seen it work out fine. So that's kind of those things. The home life affects a kid, and for them the rest of their life so drastically. I think I've said this before in some of my videos, that it's something we really take for granted, is like, especially us who are very privileged to have both parents active in our life and a good house and food, that we don't always realize a lot of people don't. I'm not even talking not even like the children in Africa kind of thing, that your parents always say, like, I mean, here in the United States, um, there have been I'm not example I was using. I'm not pushing one way better than the other thing was I've had known some people that have come from more poorer backgrounds, some that from wealthier, and there's always the question of government handouts. How effective are they? Are they necessarily needed? This and that. I'm not here to give my opinion whatsoever on them, but I've had them before where I've known some friends that came from rougher backgrounds and not as much, where they think the government should be more involved in handing stuff out more. Then I've also had friends that have came from wealthier families are just better off, which is like, no, we think the government shouldn't do any or much less of it. So you kind of see that there, the two different sides of where someone is coming from and why someone might say something. Because you might be like, oh, well, I've been fine, but you might not realize someone else isn't. Now, how effective are government handouts? Say that's, I mean, I guess I'm not, I don't think they're necessarily bad to have some. I just think the way the government handles stuff is pretty shit overall. So it's kind of like, I wish they would. I'm fine having some government handouts and like assistance, but I just wish they worked better. More so, I just think they're tend to be pretty ineffective. A lot of them, which is sad. I really wish they were better. So I'm kind of more in the middle on that one. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've had some friends that get like will question like one parent, they'll question their friend's parental decisions. They won't like say it directly to the parents, but they're like, I can't believe they do this or that, or you guys eat at this time, or you guys go out this late. And I've had this with quite friends, but just because people come from different backgrounds, it's not even necessarily a parent's bad or something. Just every families do stuff differently, and now your family runs away. I mean, that would be very, very boring and bland if they did. Excuse me. So it's just kind of important to, if someone ever says something or does something or feels a certain way, you got to try and remember to what they might be going through or what their background's like, because that shapes someone's views so drastically. And it's just something I think a lot of people have trouble with, especially in today's world, is trying to see someone from another person's point of view. I'm not even talking about like necessarily politics to say, I mean, that's part of it, but it's just with anything. Why someone might view this as a parenting strategy, or why someone might view this as a way to handle their money. I'm not saying I have really any experience with parenting. I have very little experience with like big amounts of money. I'm just kind of saying, in general, you kind of gotta see it from someone else's point of view, or it's good to, because I mean, this is just such a big country. I mean, you don't have to be from the United States, but this is more intended for the United States. There are many people from all over the place, completely different races, heritages, family, style. It's just very, very mixed country. But overall, like, I think if you're ever having conflict too with a friend, just try and stop and might. I mean, if someone's just being a complete jackass and is like picking on you nonstop and bullying you, they're probably just an ass. But I mean, if something ever happens where you have a disagreement or something, which happens with friends. So my closest friends, I've had disagreements and conflicts with every single one of them. If I had to pick my 5 closest friends, I've had a conflict with all 5 of them. Trust me. Not necessarily a physical fight. Well, I guess with maybe 1 or 2 of them, yes, but that's besides the point. That was more so when we were younger. But it was we're older though. We still see ourselves getting into conflicts. Not like brawling, but there and now. But overall, just try and take a second, see something. If you can try and see something from someone else's perspective in all walks of life, it will help you out a lot. Now, am I going to try and sit here and act like I'm the most experienced person in life and know everything? Absolutely not. I am 19 years old and still live in my parents' basement. But I would say that what I'm saying now is pretty accurate. And I'm guessing most adults that are over the age of 30 would agree with me on that, on a lot of the stuff I said. But yeah, that's kind of do it for this video, guys. Thank you all very much for watching this video. And I don't really have a whole much to say. Just drop a thumbs up, subscribe channel if you are new. And yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.